In the bustling streets of Rome during Emperor Marcus Aurelius's reign, the Valeria family stood as a pillar of respectability. Quintus Valerius, a decorated centurion, had returned from the northern campaigns with honor and wealth. His wife, Livia, managed their estate with quiet dignity, raising their two children, Gaius and Julia. Yet, beneath their marble-pillared home, fault lines grew. Rumors whispered through servants' corridors, disputes over inheritance, alliances, and loyalty. When Quintus accepted a new military post in distant Britannia, he believed his family's unity would endure. He was wrong. Absence in Rome often invited ambition, jealousy, and betrayal to take root. Months passed without Quintus's presence. Livia faced mounting pressure from her ambitious brother, Marcellus, who saw opportunity in his brother-in-law's absence. He urged her to sell part of the estate and invest in his ventures. Gaius, just 17, resisted fiercely, accusing Marcellus of greed. Julia, younger and impressionable, sided with her uncle, enchanted by promises of luxurious gowns and noble suitors. Dinner conversations became silent battles, each glance a veiled threat. Letters from Quintus arrived rarely, carried across stormy seas, their ink faded by rain. Livia read them alone, hiding tears, uncertain whether her husband's return would mend or break them. The turning point came when news spread that Quintus's legion faced defeat in Britannia. Some said he was injured, others claimed he was dead. Marcellus seized the moment, declaring himself the estate's caretaker. He began selling land to political allies, eroding the Valeria legacy. Gaius confronted him in the atrium, voice shaking with fury, only to be struck across the face by the man meant to protect them. Julia avoided her brother's eyes, ashamed yet persuaded by Marcellus's charm. The household divided into two camps, those loyal to Gaius and those swayed by the uncle's silver tongue and false promises. In the heart of Rome, politics and family matters intertwined dangerously. Marcellus entertained senators in the Valeria home, filling the triclinium with laughter and wine, while Gaius wandered the streets seeking allies among his father's veterans. Livia, trapped between loyalty to her absent husband and fear for her children, avoided taking a side. Servants whispered about the tension, knowing that divided families rarely survived in Rome's ruthless social arena. Meanwhile, Julia's betrothal to a senator's son was arranged without Gaius's consent, sealing her allegiance to Marcellus. Every step toward the wedding was a step further from the unity they once knew. A courier arrived unexpectedly, bearing a sealed scroll from Britannia. Livia opened it with trembling hands. Quintus was alive, though wounded, and returning within the month. Gaius rejoiced, but Marcellus's smile tightened. The uncle had too much to lose if Quintus returned to reclaim his authority. Julia, now engaged, feared her father would dissolve the arrangement. That night, Marcellus met with his political allies, plotting to keep Quintus far from Rome. The walls of the villa seemed to listen, holding secrets in their stones. Outside, the Tiber flowed silently, as if bearing witness to the slow fracture of the Valeria bloodline. When Quintus finally returned, gaunt but resolute, he found his estate changed beyond recognition. Marble floors once polished daily were dull, and the garden fountains had run dry. His reunion with Livia was tense. Too much unsaid lingered between them. Gaius clung to his father's side, recounting every betrayal. Julia avoided him entirely, feigning illness. Marcellus welcomed Quintus with exaggerated warmth, masking his resentment beneath honeyed words. The centurion sensed deceit, yet the web was too tangled to cut it once. In Rome, open confrontation could ruin a man as swiftly as a sword, and Quintus had already survived enough battles. Over the next weeks, Quintus quietly investigated. Meeting with old comrades in shadowed taverns, he learned of Marcellus's property sales, political schemes, and Julia's coerced engagement. Livia, though torn, admitted she had allowed some of it, believing her husband dead. Gaius urged swift action, but Quintus counseled patience. In war, he told his son, you strike when the enemy believes you weakest. Meanwhile, Marcellus sensed the shifting tide. He began spreading rumors in the forum that Quintus was unfit, mentally shaken from war, unworthy to manage his estate.
Reputation in Rome was as fragile as pottery. One crack could shatter everything.
The Senate soon called Quintus to defend himself against accusations of mismanaging funds during his campaign. Though the charges were fabricated, the trial delayed his plans to restore the family. Marcellus attended the hearings daily, whispering into the ears of senators, while Julia sat proudly beside him. Gaius, burning with frustration, sought help from his father's old commander, who promised discreet support. Livia, shunned by both camps, began to see the cost of her silence. The trial stretched for weeks, each day further straining the fragile bonds between them. Rome thrived on spectacle, and the Valeria family had become its latest show.
Finally, the court ruled in Quintus's favor, clearing his name. The victory, however, felt hollow. Julia refused to leave her fiancé, accusing her father of clinging to outdated honor. Marcellus, though stripped of legal power, retained influence through his alliances. Gaius celebrated, but Quintus knew the war within his household was far from over. He invited his daughter to speak with him privately, hoping to mend the rift, but she declined. Livia watched helplessly as her husband and children drifted apart, the family table now a place of strained politeness rather than shared joy. The home's walls echoed with absence.
Determined to protect what remained, Quintus divided the estate, granting Julia her dowry and securing the remainder for Gaius. This act severed the last thread holding the family together. Julia moved into her husband's villa, rarely visiting. Marcellus, sensing defeat, retreated from public life, but left behind lasting scars. Livia wept for nights, her dreams haunted by memories of simpler days. Quintus buried himself in work, overseeing the vineyards and training young soldiers. Gaius, though loyal, felt the weight of a fractured family pressing on his shoulders. In Rome, victory in one arena often meant loss in another.
Years passed, the Valeria estate prospered under Gaius's stewardship, yet its halls felt hollow. Festivals came and went, but the laughter of childhood never returned. Julia's marriage produced children, though she rarely sent word to her father. Livia aged quietly, her hair turning silver, her eyes holding the sadness of choices made too late. Quintus, older now, spent evenings staring across the Tiber, wondering if the battles fought on foreign soil were easier than those at home. Rome's skyline, with its temples and monuments, stood as eternal reminders that even the strongest structures could crumble from within. When Livia fell gravely ill, Julia finally returned. She entered the villa cautiously, her children in tow, greeted by Gaius with wary formality. At her mother's bedside, Julia wept, apologizing for her years of distance. Livia, with a faint smile, forgave her, urging her children to remember their bloodline. Quintus, watching silently, felt a flicker of hope, though he knew reconciliation was fragile. Outside, the city buzzed with markets and politics, indifferent to the small dramas within its walls. For one brief night, the Valeria family dined together again, though the shadows of past divisions lingered like uninvited guests.
In
Livia's
the twilight
death
of his
left
life,
a quiet void.
Quintus
The
walked
funeral
through
was
the
attended by
vineyard,
senators,
feeling the
soldiers,
cool Roman
and neighbors,
breeze.
all recalling
Gaius
the family's
followed at a
former
distance,
unity.
respecting
Julia
his
stayed
father's
for a
solitude.
week, assisting with
The
rituals,
centurion
but
looked
soon
toward
returned
the
to her
horizon,
husband's estate.
where the city's
Gaius
golden
and Quintus
domes
resumed
caught
their
the fading
routines.
sun.
The villa now
He had
echoing with
survived
the
wars,
stillness of absence.
trials, and
the Tiber
slow
continued its eternal
unraveling of
flow,
his household.
a silent witness to
Yet
the
he
fleeting nature
understood
of
now
human bonds.
that family
Though
was
Quintus had
Rome's
faced
truest
barbarian hordes
battlefield,
and political
where
betrayal,
victories
it
were
was the
bittersweet
separation of his
and
family
losses
that weighed heaviest
permanent.
on his soul.
As night
Some
fell,
battles, he
whispered
realized,
a prayer
leave
to the
wounds
gods,
that never
not
truly
for
heal.
triumph, but for peace. The Valeria legacy would endure, but the unity that once defined it was gone forever.